Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad to see your smiling faces. We're talking about imperfect practices as our month of practice makes imperfect. Imperfect practices. What are those? What are imperfect practices? We're going to talk about the journey to explore the art of embracing these imperfect practices. Instead of viewing practice as a fixed and repetitive routine, what if we shift our perception so that we see it as a dynamic and ever-evolving process? Shift our perception. Remember last week we talked about what is perfection. What is perfection? Perfection is the art of making something. The activity of making something. That's all it is. We're making something. It doesn't say anywhere in the background of the word perfect that it has to be exact. That's in the modern dictionary. It's in the modern dictionary, but it is not the root of the word. Science of Mind says that embracing imperfection and change is rooted in the understanding that life is a constant evolution. We are constantly evolving, and we recognize that perfection is not attainable in the modern way of the word, but instead we embrace the beauty of imperfection as an integral part of our growth and expansion. Right? We need to actively engage in embracing imperfection through our daily practices. Why is that? I just said it. It helps us grow. Now I'm thinking. When the internet was invented, when computers were invented, do you think that they were perfect the very first time they rolled out? No, I got a huge nose. Do you think that when the paper cup was invented, that the very first time somebody poured a liquid into it, it held the water? No. What about the very first evolution of, I don't know, a fig tree? Was it exactly what we see today? No, it developed over time. It created different ways for it to survive. Now, when we see a baby starting to walk, a friend of mine's posted a picture of her baby. Her baby is 11 months old. I saw this on Facebook yesterday. She's looking at her baby going, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's already 11 months old. Pretty soon she's going to be walking. And I thought, and falling down. And falling down. And what are her parents going to say when she stands up and she goes to take that very first step forward and she falls? What are they going to say?
Whoops.
Whoops. Whoops. Right? Whoops. And then what are they going to do?
Yay.
Yay. And they're going to encourage her to do it again. Why? Are you awake this morning? Okay. They're not going to go, oh, you fell. Should never try that again. I'm sorry, you are a crawler. Forever and ever, you are a crawler. Just get used to it. We'll get you knee pads, don't worry. For the rest of your life, you are going to be on your hands and knees. No, mommy and daddy, or mommy and mommy, or daddy and daddy, or grandparents, pick the baby back up, help them back up again, cheer them on, and cheer them to do 2 steps. And then what do? They fall down. And what do the parents do? Yay! Wow, imagine if that was your life. What if every time you stumbled, you had a word fall out of your mouth, like Marcus is going to share his mucus with us. Like I said earlier, but that's what came out. What if every time you did that, somebody around you went, yay! This is what I teach my quack students. When you fail, you do this. You step forward, you go, ta-da! Right? You claim it. And you move on. You move on. It's an old improv technique. Ta-da! It's one of my favorites. I am not perfect, people, let me tell you. Let me tell you, do you know that I hosted a taco bar at my house last night? How many people did we have there? 10 people, right? Well, my family had, my aunt, Jeanette, who's in town, she's at the cabin in Albion. She had called me the other day and said, hey, what are you doing this? Actually, she called me looking for my husband. So, wait, hold on, what? She's looking for my husband to go play golf, to be a fourth in the foursome golfing on Thursday, and then wanted him to go surf fishing. I was like, hello, this girl loves to surf fish. They didn't invite me because I always outfish them. Okay, once, whatever. But she said to me, she said, well, we're going to have a barbecue, so come on down. I said, great, what can I bring? And she goes, well, you can bring, oh wait, you don't cook. I went, no, I don't. No, I don't cook. Shh, don't tell anybody I can cook. George, don't tell anybody I can cook.
Great beans.
Brigitte, don't tell anybody about the beans that you ate for breakfast this morning, right? I don't tell people I can cook. Why?
You don't want to cook.
Well, yeah, I don't want to cook. But I get so wound up in the perfection of it. So wound up in the perfection. What if I did something wrong? What if I overcooked the meat? What if I undercooked the meat? What if somebody got sick? Oh my God. What if I forgot this? What if I forgot that? Do you know what I forgot in the taco bar yesterday? It was sitting in my refrigerator. You know what I forgot?
The salsa.
I remembered the salsa, the sour cream.
The sour cream, yes.
The sour cream. I think Jennifer was there when I mentioned it. I'm like, oh, there's sour cream in here. I totally forgot. But nobody complained. Nobody walked in and went, oh, there's no sour cream. I'm out. Give me my money back. Nobody did it. Instead, they were just excited to fill up their plates with tacos, whether it was vegan or had meat. I mean, I had vegan cheese. I had everything, right? I did everything I could to accommodate my guests, and nobody complained. And so far, I haven't heard that anybody got sick. In fact, they went back for seconds or thirds. George, was it fourths you went back for? Yeah, I was worried I was going to run out of food and not enough to feed George.
If I like something, I like it.
If you like something, you like it, yeah. So, I didn't have everything ready when people started showing up. George and Brigitte showed up, and I was like, I'm almost there, but I'm not. And Brigitte saw the flowers that I had sitting there. She said, would you like me to put these in a beautiful vase for you?
Wow.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I welcomed that. Welcomed help, because I wasn't perfect. I didn't have everything done. My floors were swept, though. I will tell you, my floors were swept. My floors were swept, the laundry was done, there were clean towels in the bathroom. I figured that was good. That was good, right? We come together as a community. We had fun. And then Catherine misread things, and she said, I thought we were going to have games. I went, I'll find something. And I happened to have an extra game of apples to apples in the house that I just randomly brought up like a month ago. And so we played apples and apples till almost 9 o'clock last night. Just hanging out, playing a game. It was perfection in the imperfection, right? We had fun. We had neighbors show up towards the end. It was super fun. That's what being in the imperfection looks like. I had a plan. It was going to go a certain way. I missed the mark on a couple of little things that nobody really noticed. But instead of going, oh no, I have to cancel, sending everybody a message and saying, I'm sorry, I can't. The flowers aren't ready. You can't come. Instead, I pulled up my big girl panties and I said, this is going to be fine. This is going to be fine. When's the last time you all learned something new? Anybody learn how to do something new? Janet has. Anybody learn how to do something new lately? Yeah.
Every day.
Every day, right? Right. Do you beat yourself up when it doesn't work the first time? No. Okay, if it doesn't work the 10th or 11th time and I really, really, really want to figure this out, I might get a little frustrated. I might walk away for a minute. I might go get something to eat. That's usually an indication I need to eat, right? Go eat something, Aileen, you'll be fine. And then I come back to it. Because like that toddler that's learning how to toddle, right? I'm going to fall down. I'm going to fail. It's going to happen. And that's where my growth edge is. That's where I get to learn, and that's where I get to grow. It happens in relationships. It happens at work. It happens at home, right? We're just going to do something wrong, say something wrong, be somebody wrong. It just happens. And we pick ourselves up and we continue moving forward. Because believe me, if I had fallen down with all my failures, I'm talking to everybody online here, I wouldn't be standing here today. Right? You wouldn't be here today if you had given in to your failures. So when we embrace vulnerability and authentically and be authentic with it, that's an essential component to our journey called life. We recognize that vulnerability, that it's not a weakness, but a courageous act of showing up fully in our lives. Let's say that in a different way. Failure and recovering from it is a courageous act of showing up fully in our lives. Wow. I want to be courageous. When I'm in my fear around something, I want to stand in my power position, hands on my hips, chest up, chin up, and say, I can do this, right? Right? Anybody else do that, or is it just me that does that power pose? They say it doesn't work. Davey does it too. Thanks, Davey. I'm glad I'm not alone. Some people say that doesn't work. I say it does because it works for me, right? Sometimes it's like this. And sometimes this is released too. We talked about this in class recently, that sometimes this is, that's it, I'm done, you take it. So I can move on to something else. That's a part of that being vulnerable and falling and making mistakes. So imperfect practices, as I said, that imperfection, practicing imperfection, that we embrace the understanding that perfection is an unattainable goal. Yeah. That taco bar and margaritas was not going to be perfect. Something had to be a little awry. And yet nobody complained. Nobody stormed out the door because there was no sour cream. In fact, nobody even mentioned there was no sour cream. Nobody noticed, right? It wasn't until later. Oh wait, Jennifer noticed. You should have said something, girl.
I'm so glad that I did.
She's so glad that she didn't say anything. I love it. Because I wouldn't have anything to talk about, right? I'd find another thing, but this one is the most recent on my mind. When we embrace the beauty and the growth that comes from the imperfection, we get to become the next version of ourselves. Second point here is that when we step out of our comfort zone into the context of imperfect practices, that's when we go beyond our familiar boundaries. It takes a requirement or a willingness to take risk. Anybody here willing to take a risk? Anybody willing to take a risk? Yeah, sometimes I'm not willing. Sometimes I'm not willing. But I have to then go, am I willing to be willing? That's a big one for me. When somebody asked me once when they said, are you willing to do, this was in a class I took at the center years and years and years ago, are you willing to, Aileen? And I said, no. And the TA in the class so wonderfully and beautifully said, are you willing to be willing? Wow. I sat with that. Yeah, I'm willing to be willing. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no to this. I'm not saying no to transforming my entire life by changing my mind. But am I willing to do it right now? No, I like things the way they are. My life is not working. But I like things the way they are, right? Right? That's how we stand with things sometimes. And when we integrate those imperfect practices of stepping out of our comfort zone in our real lives, We are consciously engaging in activities and experiences that stretch our limits. I remember when I was new to ministerial school, my dear friend Reverend Laura Hallett said to me at Asilomar, our annual conference, she said to me, I hear you're in ministerial school now. And I said, yeah. She said, great, I love supporting ministerial students. Will you come speak at my church? I said, I would love to. And the inside of me was going, what did you just say? What did you just say? I mean, you've never done a sermon in front of people. I would love to, Laura. When would you like to do it? And she said, well, and this was in August. I booked September, October, November. How about December? And I thought, okay, I could do that 4 months from now. I can figure this out. She said, by the way, it's in St. George, Utah. I said, you know what? I said, what's to see near there? She said, oh, Zion Park is right outside of town. I said, I'm in. I've always wanted to go to Zion National Park. It's beautiful. If you haven't been, go. And so I booked myself a trip. I booked myself a cabin in the park in December. It was cold. There was hardly anybody there. I had my talk all ready to go. And I woke up that morning and my talk changed. I thought, oh Lord, now what? My talk changed. I said to my husband, who decided to come with me, I need you to go to the hardware store. I need you to get me yellow rope. I need it to be about 10 feet long, maybe 12, and about this thick. And he said, why? I said, trust me. One day I'll bring in the yellow rope, you'll know why. But that was part of my talk. I was inspired by something. I was inspired to step out of my comfort zone and allow what had come through in the night to be what my talk was going to be. Kind of like today, which is not in all of my notes here. It was about being all of me and not keeping myself in a box, or in that case, in a circle, right? My talk was, I took the yellow rope. Now I'm going to tell you, so I can't do it. I took the yellow rope and I put it on the ground around me. And I said, this is my box. This is my safe space. This is where I live. It was a small circle. And then I kicked the edge and I said, well, what if I kick the edge? I make the circle bigger. What's going to happen to me? Took a deep breath and, okay, I'm still here. All right. And then I kicked it and I made it a little bit bigger. And I kind of spread out my body. And I said, no, I'm scared, but I'm taking up more space. And eventually I made the circle as big as I could make it. And I said, what if I claim this whole space as mine? This whole space. Then I took the rope and I made a line behind me. And I said, and what if I claim this as my space? Never ending. Never ending. That I can take up all of this space, that I can be everything that I choose and desire to be. That wasn't my talk. That was not my notes. I was scrambling on my iPad, like flipping out new notes and then putting them on Post-its because I didn't have anywhere to print anything. I thought, oh my gosh, Reverend Laura is never going to invite me back. She's never going to speak to me again. Right? Scared myself by stepping outside of my comfort zone. You know, Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now says, when challenges come, as they always do, make it a habit to go within at once and focus as much as you can on the inner energy field of your body. Attention is the key to transformation, and full attention also implies acceptance. Attention is like a beam of light, the focused power of your consciousness that transmutes everything into itself. If I had gone with my original talk, what would have happened? It wouldn't have inspired me. And if it's not going to inspire me, you think it's going to inspire the people I'm speaking to? No. I had to put my full attention on what was coming so that I could accept it and then present it. It was an amazing talk. I still watch that talk. I still watch it because it still inspires me. Stephen Covey writes, every human has 4 endowments: self-awareness, conscious, independent will, and creative imagination. These give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose, to respond, and to change. The first talk scared the bejeebies out of me. And yet I walked out of there feeling really good, really inspired because I opened myself up. I was willing to let Spirit speak through me. Kind of like the first time I came here. And Reverend Ruth introduced me as someone she knew that was in her final year of ministerial school. By the way, between the first year and the final year, I put in a lot of extra time. It wasn't just the 2.5, 3 years, it was more like 4.5. I took extra time because I really wanted to dive into my studies. So she introduces me, and then Catherine comes over and says, would you like to speak? I was like, oh Lord, really? Do you remember that? You walked right up to me. So, we're looking for guest speakers. Would you like to speak? And I said, of course. And then I thought, who said that? Who said that? Well, it was my wedding anniversary that weekend. She didn't know that. We were going to come up here anyway.
Wow.
To celebrate our first wedding anniversary at the cabin where we got married. It worked out. And I had so much fun, I walked to her after service and said, so, when would you like me to come back? I think it was the next month that Brigitte said, I vote for you. I said, for what? She said, to be our our minister. And I went, I'm not a minister yet.
We don't care.
We don't, yeah, that's what she said. We don't care. We don't care. It's all, and years ago, I reached out to Reverend Tanya and said, hey, I'm available to talk. And then life happened and I wasn't. Right? So it all happens exactly the way it's supposed to. Life happened. It wasn't the right time when I first reached out to her. But then it was the right time last summer when I pulled up on the website and I saw that my dear friend Reverend Ruth was speaking. I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to go surprise Ruth. You all surprised me. Right? Right? So I was standing not in weakness, but in a courageous act of showing up. I didn't know any of you. I didn't know any of you. I knew Ruth. And contrary to popular belief, I'm an introvert. I am. I know, I fake it really well. I fake it really well. But you'll see me. You will eventually see me just like shut down. My introvert goes, no more. My extrovert's like, come on, you can still party. And the introvert's like, no, go to bed, right? So I like living out in the country a little bit. Gives me a chance to breathe. Catherine actually congratulated me this week for breathing. I posted a picture of my brother's dog is with me, and she and I were sitting out on the porch, and I was reading a book for fun. People, I haven't read a book for fun in years, because I've been in school, right? And she wrote a note on my Facebook page and said, I'm so glad that you're taking care of yourself. I was like, yeah, I'm breathing. Because I was wiped out after last weekend. It was a lot of work to make sure our 4 practitioner candidates became practitioners. And I am so very proud of them, so very proud of them. So George Bernard Shaw, I'm going to close with this. He says, progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. What did Laura say at the very beginning? Where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Mic drop. Right? You have to be willing to change. So let's pray.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Raina, ask a question.
You said 4 things, and it was consciousness, will, and imagination. What was the first one?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, and that's where Matt's EQ class comes in really handy. What is that? The first,
The
second Thursday of every month. By the way, if you haven't been to Matt's EQ class on the second Thursday of every month, it's amazing. It's really awesome. I try to make sure I'm here for that because Matt's pretty awesome. The conversation is really great. So yeah, self-awareness, conscious, independent will, and creative imagination. All right, got it? Good. All right, let's pray. With this possibility of changing everything just by changing our mind, we can affirm that there is something greater than we are in this space. There is one energy, one power, one presence, and it is in, through, and around each and every one of us. It is closer than hands and feet. It is closer than our breath. It's closer than our heartbeat. It is our heartbeat. It is our breath. It is our hands and feet. And there is no way that we can escape it because we are it. In form, showing up to do something spectacular today. Something spectacular. As we embrace our imperfection and we dance with our imperfections, we do so celebrating, knowing that shift happens in every failure. Shift happens. It makes us stronger and better. And sometimes it releases us from bonds that may be holding us back. It's all God, people. It's all God. I know that to be the truth. I have experienced this as the truth. And I celebrate it for myself just like I celebrate it for each and every person in this room, each and every person online, and every person that is watching or listening at a later date. I know this is the truth. Because spiritual law does not skip anyone or anything. It just does. It just does. So let's declare in this moment and in this space perfect healing for all of those who are feeling just a little off today, a little off from center. Let's affirm an alignment with the Divine One for those people. Let's affirm an alignment with the Divine One for healing, for love, for abundance, for understanding. Let's affirm an alignment with the divine for peace and joy. There's so many places in our world today that need us to send love, so let's do that now. Spread that love as far and wide as you possibly can with no strings attached, no expectation, just let that love flow. Because I believe that love is the answer. Love is the answer to all of my problems today. Love is the answer to every thought that I have that is disturbing me. Love is the answer to my body that may not feel 100% today. Love is the answer to my relationships. Love is the answer to our planet. Love is the answer as we step forward through our imperfections, loving ourselves through those imperfections, allowing us to be human and magnificent all at the same time. I'm knowing that any political unrest in the world, in the country, is filled with love. Filled with love. I know that every person that is unhoused or doesn't have enough food to eat or unclothed has everything that they need, that Spirit is providing for them right now. I know that every heart that needs to be mended, that every heart that is experiencing grief or loss is filled with love through that experience. I know that our planet is experiencing love as we surround it with that loving light, that the healing comes forth. I know all of these things and more, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for the knowledge that what I know, even those things that I don't know yet, are perfect in the mind of God. They're perfect in the mind of love. They're perfect in the mind of the Divine One. They're perfect just the way that they are. And healing is possible by simply changing our minds. And so I release this prayer into the law of mind, knowing that it's already done. That Spirit heard these words, that Spirit actually created these words, and Spirit is already working on it. It's already in the law, coming into fruition. Because we say it is so. Because we say it is so. So join me in releasing this prayer by saying with our holy words that we say at the end of every prayer. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.